Hello, mystical souls. I'm Chloe the Elven Mage, multi-dimensional artist and guide, and the founder of Mystic Hearts. Welcome back to another episode of Weekly Wandering and Pondering. I am on my way to the pine forest today. I must admit that I'm not wandering very far today. I went for an hour-long run yesterday, and this is the first time that I have run in over a year, so my body is feeling it. Yes, so I wanted to not stray or venture very far from my home today, and this will be less of a wandering, more of a plodding along gently, listening to the trees. There's lots of butterflies around. I hope you can see one flying past. And I wanted to start off today's video. Sorry, sometimes I keep looking at the video and then sometimes I look at the camera. I still I'm getting used to navigating filming in this way. I wanted to start off with some celebrations, because as I celebrate things in my life, I would hope that you feel inspired or encouraged to celebrate things in your life as well. Self-celebration is so kind of dismissed in Western culture, but it's such a beautiful thing to do. It's such a lovely, simple way of showing ourselves self-love and respect and just honouring like the little things in life. It doesn't have to be big achievements. So the first one is, well, I went for a run yesterday. I have been, it's a long story, I'm not going to get into it now, but last year in October time, I was working at a gym. I'd been working there for 2.5 years, and I left the gym to become fully self-employed, to dive fully into my business, which was a great decision. But also it was nice to just have a change of environment and atmosphere. I do find that the more that I say yes to my heart and my soul and lean more and more into authenticity, that the harder it is for me to be in a working environment where I'm not the boss, honestly, just to be completely honest. But anyway, I left, and I've been noticing recently a lot that my fitness levels have declined, and it's not an aesthetic thing as much as, you know, I'm really noticing it when I go for a walk, that I feel out of breath more quickly. Oh, I'm just navigating a very treacherous path beneath me with lots of twigs and branches. You'll probably see me trip up today, so we can all have a laugh together. Yeah, so because I left the gym and I was in that fitness environment, I was exercising a lot, and so I love exercise. I'm actually someone, I feel very lucky since a young age. I've always really enjoyed being physical. I am not a sporty person whatsoever. I'm really uncompetitive. You might hear some angry bird sounds in the background. There's often very weird and wonderful sounds here in the pine forest. That's why I thought I'd come and explore today. Yes, so I've always loved exercise, and recently I have been noticing that my fitness levels are declining. So some of my self-love agreements, my self-love wish list for myself is to exercise more, and one of the things I thought would be great would be to start running again. It's great to get that cardio, get the heart rate up, sweat. So yes, I did that, and I'm also going to be joining a gym at the end of the month, which is exciting, but not working at a gym, just joining for my own benefit. And I think it will be really nice for me on mornings or evenings when I'm not working with clients, or I'm not crafting or creating, to actually go to the gym, because I used to love that, and I love that after gym feeling of, oh, nearly just went into a branch. I'm going to show you that in front of me. Nearly winded myself. It's getting a bit precarious here in the forest. Right, I found a walkway to go down. I love it in here. It feels like something out of a horror movie. And there are some very vibrant sounding birds in here. So I went for a run. That is achievement number 1. Number 2, I have really been taking care of my health in terms of the food that I eat. I've been pretty healthy for a long time. I mean, I started veganism back when I was 24, so 11 years ago. I veered off that path over the last couple of years. I'm not so strict with it now, but I really am on a whole food, organic, absolutely make everything myself, vegetarian lifestyle. And I've gone back into that, and I haven't eaten any sugar, any cakes, any processed stuff, no meat, no heavy foods, no bread. And I'm feeling good. And what I wanted to share was, oh, I just found a feather. Let me just pick that up. Look at that. Beautiful. Just been given a gift. Thank you so much. I didn't touch that, by the way. I will wash it first. Yes, and I have actually been struggling with a wrist injury, like a repetitive strain injury in my wrist, which started actually right after the breakup with my ex and after moving home. I've just had this pain, constant pain in my right wrist. And this week, it's finally feeling better, which is such a relief, because it's been really bothering me. And it's not, I don't go to medical doctors, Western medical doctors. I'm 100% holistic. I have been for 6-7 years. So yeah, I've been working through it, and it's finally feeling better. So that's a huge achievement, something that I wanted to share. It's made me happy because it's been making me feel a little bit down, and my energy has been quite withdrawn and inwards recently because I've been feeling into this pain. Yeah, I'm working through it and allowing myself the time to rest and to heal as well. And then another achievement is I have officially completed a 6-month embodied coaching certification. So now I'm a certified embodiment coach, which is amazing because I have had in-depth practice and training of how to support people with trauma, how to learn more in depth about people's body language and where they are holding on to trauma, pain and fears in the body. So it's super amazing, and this leads me quite nicely actually onto today's topic that I wanted to talk about, which was a request from last week's video. Oh, my microphone just got stuck on the tree then. I just have to keep switching hands. Oh, actually, I promise I will not forget what I'm talking about. Final thing that I wanted to share is that I have ordered a selfie stick. So for next week's Wandering and Pondering video, you will have a much wider view, and I won't have to keep swapping hands because I won't be holding it up with my fingers, and I won't get a sore arm. I'll be holding the stick nice and steady in both hands. So there'll be probably more calm and relaxing videos to watch because they won't be wobbling all over the place with me switching hands. So to go back to the embodiment and the topic of conversation that I'm going to talk a little bit about today. Yeah, someone requested in my video last week how to navigate the modern world, and I really like this. It's something that I actually ponder on a lot, and I feel like when I'm pondering on something, the universe always brings me signs as well. And one amazing way is, of course, embodiment. It's something that was really, really fascinating, quite sad actually, quite a sad realization to really witness firsthand, is how many of us are living from our head. And that this causes huge issues, right? We have very intelligent brains and egos, which are like these software programs. Oh, you get a beautiful view there, actually. I just dropped the phone completely. Not doing very well today. And my arm is like, I'm tired. You've done lots of exercise this week. But yeah, our brains are like these very intelligent software programs. When we start tuning into the body and other different senses and other different ways of being connected to ourselves, we are multidimensional, multifaceted, multisensory, energetic beings and spirits. Remember that. We are not just a mind and not just a body. When we start tapping in, the mind is going to fight against it a little bit. So just remember that. At first it might not seem easy, but I'll share a simple practice that you can do to come into the body. You can do this laying down. So if you're someone who doesn't meditate regularly, or if you're someone who has like a lot of pain in your body, I feel you, lay down and do this out loud, because I find that often in the beginning, if we do things internally or we stay quiet, like in meditation, the mind can just start taking over, whereas our voice is our power, right? That is our power, where we say, okay, I'm taking control of this situation, I'm going to command it. So you can lie down and then have this conversation with yourself. Keep asking this question out loud. How does my body feel? And then you're going to reply as if you're having a conversation with your best friend or with one of your guides, and you're going to label as many sensations as you possibly can. So for example, how does my body feel? My head feels a little bit tight today. How does my body feel? My heart feels really open and I can breathe deeply. How does my body feel? I can't feel my toes, and so on and so on and so on. And do this for as long as you can until you've named as much of your body as possible. And then the more that you practice this, the more that you'll become aware of your bodily sensations, which are all the time trying to send you signals and messages. The body is just such an incredible, intelligent organism. Like, the wisdom of the body blows me away, absolutely blows me away. So we have to take these active steps, and we have to regain and rebuild this relationship of trust with our bodies. So that's a beautiful way of navigating the modern world, because as technology increases, as cities grow, as concrete becomes more of a normal environment, then nature, as the population increases, as virtual reality becomes the norm, we are being more and more and more disconnected from self. So the radical response that we can take, if you choose to, is to actually say, no, I don't need these modern technologies. I don't need AI to do my thinking for me. This is something I personally choose. I did fall down the trap of using AI to help me write my website. And then I found that it felt really false and out of alignment. This is just me, by the way. This is my own sharing and my own feelings. Virtual reality. I can promise you that no virtual reality experience or machine can take you on the journeys that you can go on through deep meditation, shamanic journeys, going under the cloak, which is a druidic ritual. I promise you that none of these things that modern society promises, none of these distractions and these traps can give you anything even close to what you can experience through reconnecting and unprogramming yourself and coming back to yourself. So that's another thing that I wanted to speak about, because this is something that has been coming up a lot for me recently, which is an amazing practice and something that I've experienced myself firsthand, but it's also weaved into ancient cultures, shamanic traditions. I've been to Peru and sat with the Shipibo Kanibo, tongue twister. Had to breathe for that one. And sensory deprivation is all weaved into these cultures, and it is a way of activating our soul essence and our soul blueprint. So when we shut down one of our senses, so sight, speech, sound, touch, taste, any of those. So for fasting, for example, that's one that probably most people are familiar with. When we do that, because we've shut down a human sensory experience, we then activate and amplify some of the more subtle, quantum, spiritual, metaphysical, however you choose to label them, we activate those. And this is a wonderful way to remember how powerful we are and how magical we are. We are not just slaves here to the world. We are actually free, and we get to write our reality the way that we wish. We do not have to be a slave or a pawn or a sheep in a system. No one said that. We were just born and we were told it to be this way, but it's not true. But to actually become free and to become sovereign, there are certain levels of healing that we must do. I've came to that same branch again that nearly pinged me last time. Oh, I'm getting really tangled now. I'm just walking up and down the aisles of these trees. They're really awesome. You can probably see them around me. Yeah, so actually to break free from that, and look, I've gone through this, right? I was that one protesting, like I was at every single protest during the lockdowns. I used to be a very angry vegan activist, constantly thinking that we need to change, the outside world. And the people around us, that was as soon as they said angry, I got poked in the eye, like, no more anger, Chloe, no more anger. It's okay to be angry, by the way, but you need to come and let it out in the forest or into a song or go axe throwing. Healthy expression. But yes, I was that first person who was angrily standing up for my rights. And what I have come to recognize and realize now, that there is much more power in the silent work that we do. Not saying that we shouldn't stand up for people in oppression, and that we shouldn't help our neighbors, and we shouldn't help people that we see on the street who are struggling. To me, that goes without saying. That should be our second nature, being loving, kind, and compassionate to those who are around us. But, we are constantly being fed death, destruction, robbery, crime, all of this stuff on the news, which is being shoved in our faces without our consent. And it creates this feeling of guilt and responsibility that we were never meant to weigh on our shoulders. All right? There's no denying that there's no justification for war and mass genocide and murdering. So what can we do? Right? We can make a difference, but we can't do it when we are in a state of fear and when we are in a state of anger and frustration, because all of these things, remember, fear cycles, fear, anger and frustration, shame and guilt keep us looping. They keep us stuck in these looping cycles. So we have to ascend from that. We have to alchemize that. Compassion, kindness, love, truth, authenticity. We want to keep peeling back the layers of ourselves so that we can get to this state where we are really in tune with our magical and our mystical sides. All of our senses begin to open so that we can naturally see beyond the veil of illusion. Because once you can see beyond the veil of illusion, you can see across universes and dimensions of truth. Once you can see beyond that, you feel very differently about the world that we live in. There are so many layers and levels to spiritual understanding that we will only discover and we will only actually accept and integrate when our soul in this human form is ready for it. Because there are a lot of big spiritual truths. If anyone is really interested in this, let me know and I can brush upon some of these topics in another video. But also I don't want to scare people, because sometimes we can blow our minds beyond what we're ready for. But when you use these tools of embodiment, and I'm going to talk more about the sensory deprivation. I know I've diverted a little bit from that, but it's all related to that. You see beyond the veil of illusion of this modern world and this polarity, and you realize the power that you possess as an individual and the effect that you can have around the people, every person that you meet and interact with, people online. This is why we need your voice, we need your art, we need you to love yourself and ascend and unlock your magical, mystical, intuitive, psychic senses so that you can be in your full self expressing. We need that, because as an individual you hold so much power. You hold so much power. I don't want you to forget that. But it's not about fighting. It's about remembering our power and then creating the world as we want it to be. Removing ourselves from systems where we're putting money into organizations that are not serving our love and our compassion, and that are feeding off fear and oppression and murder and crime. Taking our money away from that, putting our money into building community. It's very much about remembering the old ancient ways and not getting put under the spell and the enchantment of all of these modern advancements and technologies, because actually the old ways, when we look back in time, were very magical. Our ancestors were very in touch with their magic, their intuitive abilities, their incredible abilities of healing themselves and talking to nature and being in touch with one another. Telepathy, being able to communicate with one another beyond words. That is the kind of technology now, in my opinion, that we should be seeking. Not technology of the artificial kind, energetic technologies, human technologies, cosmic technologies, soul technologies. So yeah, the ancient ways, they would be very tribal, sticking together in communities. And I think if you have that as a goal in mind, it's still really vital and important that you work on yourself first of all. And if you have a family and you have children, what a wonderful time for you to do this together, to say, no, we as a family don't agree with the way that the modern patriarchal society is accelerating, and we as a family are going to choose to be the way showers and be the leaders, that it can be done differently. And for me, that means simplicity. That means stripping back material possessions that are not necessary. Of course, things that we use and things that we need, things that we play with, great, but stripping it back, stripping back what we eat, stripping back the things that we're addicted to. I highly recommend that you look into anything that you feel that you could not live without, because that is an unhealthy attachment, and you can try and go a week without that. Of course, there may be some medications that you are on. I'm not telling you to just stop your medications. That's another story. And if you're interested in journeying through that and taking more of a holistic route and coming off the medications you're on, I wholeheartedly believe that it can be done. I would go to a shamanic practitioner, someone, or an indigenous tribe. I can recommend somewhere incredible in Peru if you're serious about that. If you have a chronic illness or something that you want healing a holistic way, I can recommend that to you. Yes, so let's go back to sensory deprivation, because I find this fascinating and it's such a cool thing that I've experienced. And I'll speak first about fasting. I lived in Indonesia for 4.5 years, and it is a predominantly Islamic country. Most people don't realise that, I don't think. Predominantly Islamic, so they celebrate Ramadan every year, which is, if I'm remembering this rightly, 40 days and 40 nights of fasting, where you don't eat anything and you don't drink anything from sunrise to sunset, and then you can eat and you can drink after the sunset until the sun rises. So it's half of the day completely fasted without any water, anything. And I actually managed to do that. I think I managed to do it other than like 3 days. And that was incredible. It's a real struggle doing that and working. But it's an incredible experience. And when you do something like that, you realize that you're a freaking superhero. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do it for that long. For me, it was a lot easier because I was surrounded by all of these beautiful Indonesian people who had been doing it their whole life since they were a child. So they were there helping me, supporting me, inspiring me. But you can just try not eating anything for 24 hours. 24 hours without food will absolutely not kill you. And then you can build it up. And it is amazing, the journey that you go on. We are also, again, in this world where it's like, you need to take all of these supplements and you're going to cheat death and you're going to do all of these things this way. But actually, the secret is stripping it back. We don't need all of these modern technologies. In fact, we will be giving this prayer and this blessing to ourselves if we actually start stripping back, because we have been painted these layers of cement inside us, which affect our mind, our hearts, our emotions, our energy levels, our physical body, our skin, everything, and it builds up and builds up and builds up. And what fasting does particularly is, of course, cleanse the system. So it is fabulous for actually releasing trauma and working through heavy emotional, physical, what's the word I'm looking for? Emotion that we've held on to that has actually formed as a physical mass in the body. fasting can help us release that and release toxins and release fluoride from our pineal gland so that our third eye can open, our intuition can improve, our inner vision can be more bold and bright and magical. So that's one thing, fasting. And if anyone would like more information on fasting, there's so many different ways you can fast, by the way, but I would recommend just starting with a small water fast, seeing if you can go without food. If you can't do 24 hours, just start with 12 hours and keep working it up and up. Do it once a month and then see if you can do more. The last water fast I did 3 days, which is amazing. It was probably the 6th or 7th long fast that I've done, and this was the first time where I thought I actually want to do it longer, but I decided not to because at the time I was doing a lot of yoga clients, so I had quite a physically demanding schedule. So again, it helps you have that body wisdom. So that's one. Sensory deprivation. Generally speaking, when we are talking about the root chakra, which is our basic human functional survival needs, what we need to overcome is the addictions to what we're eating. That's usually there. Sex also, but that's kind of moving more up into the second energy center, the sacral. So I would say food. Food is the first one. Food, what are you consuming? Alcohol, cigarettes, all of these things. Can you go without them? If the answer is no, that is an addiction, and addictions come from fear cycles. Yeah, so that's that. And then another one, an interesting one, is deprivation of words. Ow. I am really getting scratched up here in the forest today. It's all fun though. Deprivation of words. I'm going to my second Vipassana in October. The last one I did was 10 years ago. It is 10 days, total silence. You can't speak, you can't listen to music, you can't read, you can't sing, anything. Total silence, and it's meditating for 10 days. And it's also fasting, so it's a double whammy. And that is a whole new layer and depth of experience. And I would say if anyone wants to have a transcendental meditation experience, when you actually transcend beyond your mind and actually experience your energy expanding like you're viewing it, I would highly recommend Vipassana. I will do a whole video after I've been there, but yeah, it's going to be 10 days. You can only eat between 6 a.m. and 12 p.m. and then you have to fast for the rest of the day spent in meditation, and they give you very specific meditation practices that you have to do. Yeah, there's that one. There's also darkness, so deprivation of light. I think I spoke about going under the cloak, an old druidic practice where they would go out into the forest and put a very dark, thick hood over them and just sit in the darkness for up to 3 days. In some very ancient practices, they would actually do this, but in a burial. So you would be completely buried alive. Of course, that would be for, I've never done that. I would love to, but that would be more for experienced practitioners. Often it would be people who had been practicing for it for many, many years. They would get buried alive, so you can't move, you can't talk, you're in the darkness. All you can feel is like the earth on you, restricting you. So because you're in this very human and 3D restricted state, that gives space for all of your other senses and perceptions to start opening up. So again, it's coming back to facing fear. We all can be scared of the dark. When I was in Peru and sitting with the sacred medicines, I didn't realize that you have to sit in complete pitch darkness. So even navigating your way to go to the toilet is like navigating your way through the pitch dark. And it is in support of opening up that sense of intuition and inner trust in knowing that you can actually navigate your way there. So yes, I would say that, you know, okay, so let's break this down more simply, because people who are watching this might be thinking, well, everything that you've mentioned is not accessible for me. Totally get that. Is there one day a week, and if you have a family, see if you can do this with them too, is there one day a week where you can have no phone? So your phone can be off. Of course, that you could have it open just for phone calls, for family emergencies, but no internet, all of that turned off, no TV, no reading, no talking, just silence. You can journal if you want, but I think it's good to try this, even just doing a no phone detox and then working it up to no talking. Could you find a space where you lay down and put a dark eye mask over your eyes for say 2 hours, and then work it up to 3 hours, 4 hours, cutting off the senses, you know, coming to stillness? Can you do those short fasts, 24 hours? Can you abstain from something that you feel that you can't live without? That is how we start drawing and calling back our power, because once you get through these things, you realize what a warrior badass you are. But start small, you know, don't give yourself an impossible task, because you'll just set yourself up for failure. Start small, let me know how it goes. I'd love to know what you would like me to talk about next week for Wondering and Pondering. Also, I am going to do a new guided meditation recording over the next couple of weeks. Would you like me to tap into dragon spirit energy or a mermaid meditation? Let me know what your soul is calling for. And if you would like to book a session with me, I will put the link at the end of this video. And sending you so much love. I can't wait to see you next week.